Right, hey everyone, I'm Klloo, and welcome back to the data pack. So it's been a little while since we've done anything, and the main reason for that is the time it's taken to port over to 1.21, but hey, we're done, we're here, sort of, right? So most of the features of the pack have been ported over, so if you do want to give it a go, do some testing for me, since it is still in the beta, right? Not just ready for release quite yet. Feel free to look down in the descriptions, you'll find the Planet Minecraft page and give it a go. Other than that, today we want to discuss seasons, because I don't think I ever did a video going over the update for it. Now, forgive the advancements, this is the next thing that I really need to work on, but apparently they've doubled up for whatever reason, but I have overhauled the seasonal system. So there are basically 5 seasons that the game rotates through now. So we have this whole world of Runechant has a rolling cycle of 5 seasonal periods. During any seasonal period, specific biomes will have an active season effect. The seasonal period follows the order of life, scorch, ash, frost, and then ender, with each seasonal period having 4 different seasonal effects, as we can see here. So for instance, ash has ashen gust, where they're doubling up, ashen gust, blistering haze, soothing breeze, and fierce gale, right? So along with that, we need to come up with some special environment interactions is how we'll go with it. So that's basically what we're going through today. So all these command blocks are all the different environmental interactions that I have set up, right? And we'll go over how they're done in a little bit, but let's just get the showcase going. So starting first, we have some creeping vines. I can't look at this because I'm in survival, right? But it should, periodically, now and then, grow, which it did at first. Oh, there we go. It is just randomly based, so that way it does spread out in unique patterns every single time, but if we touch it, we get pricked, and we get nausea and poison, right? Both have a just chance, but as you can see, it also then slowly decays. If we walk into the decaying version, no problem, and then it'll slowly just grow and disappear. So yeah, you might come across this in a biome where it's just sprouting up, growing, touch it, you get poison, you get nausea, you take some damage, so you want to avoid it, and then eventually it will decay, and we can, grow it back, right? So yeah, this is the basic gist for the seasonal interactions, is just a random event that basically happens, and you have to be a little bit wary of. So we do have a lot of them to go through, as we can see by all the command blocks, but creeping vines is the very first. So we'll heal up, and we will move on. So the next one is bubbles. And bubbles is nice and simple. Hopefully I don't touch that stuff. But this is more water-based, right? So we get water breathing and dolphin's grace. So when you're swimming along, right, you might come across a dolphin that has left a little bubble trail, right? And if you go into it, then you'll get water breathing and dolphin's grace. So that's a nice little water seasonal effect. And the other reason we are going through all these is I do have to test them and make sure they are all working correctly. So far, 2 for 2. Next up, we have Tempest, which is a cyclone. So you can see where it's going to form by this little dust particle, and then it forms. And if you walk into it, take some damage, and you get knocked around. Nice and simple. And it just slowly moves about and grows. You can sort of tell by the level of I'm using Shriek here, right, to have the little tornado effect. It's the closest to particles. And then the dust, so depending on how big that's grown, sort of dictates how strong the cyclone is, right? So again, you sort of see where it's going to spawn, and you can avoid it. And then eventually it will spawn in. Now, it sounds like all the sound effects are going fine. And the damage is good, get knocked around, does what a tornado should. Now, I don't want to take too much damage. That's why I have a inventory full of health potions. So we're up to 4. So 4 is a dust ball. So similar to the tornado, it does move around, but very slowly. If you touch it, this time, more damage. It should also give me status effects, but I'm guessing... no, sorry, not status effects. As you can probably see, it was depleting my hunger greatly. So it does damage, and it also shreds your hunger, right? So in terms of seasonal flavor, right, Ashen is like damage and exhaustion, right? Life is sometimes poisonous, sometimes beneficial, and hopefully we'll get up to the next ones. It seems I have done them in pairs, which is quite nice. So that was 4. Next one is going to be, wait for it to spawn, it should be the eruption. So that's also too high on the ground, actually. But yeah, so again, little town, you can see where it's going to spawn by the particles that happen. And then if you're standing on it when it actually erupts, well, take a lot of damage. And you get knocked back, right? So that's kind of cool. Heal up. I'm going to have to do this after every single one from the looks of it. Okay, what next? We have more fire effects. So this is like an axis of fire. And it's actually gated by the block that's hitting. So basically, it will spawn and it will spread between 2 blocks. And if we actually go back into creative for this one, what I can do is I have 3 different ones. So this is on the x-axis. So if we do Z, for instance, well, since it has a much more reachable range, what will actually happen is it will spread continuously. But just like a giant trail of fire. And if you touch it, it'll just be damage, right? It's fire, right? You just get burned. So yeah, it'll go on as far as the chunks are loaded, but then it will dissipate. Sometimes it will grow back, and sometimes it won't. So yeah, it's just like a never ceasing fire. Was it this one? Yeah, so flame belt. And then we also have Y, but Y's just going to go into the sky. So I don't really have to show that off. Now, the smoke particle that's lingering. No, it did dissipate. Good. So far, no kinks. No kinks at all, which is really good. Entomb. I don't think we need to be in survival for this one. Entomb will spawn, and if we stand in it, what will happen is we get entombed. So basically the idea is don't touch it. Simple as that, right? If we don't touch it, it will just go away. If you walk onto it, you'll be encased in ice, right? They'll do their little crack sound, but no ice forms because there was no entity actually in the middle of it. After that, we have Soul Tether, another nice one to show off without going to survival. So it's this little particle. It'll spread, and once it has the portal particles, you're basically tethered to it, right? So it's basically soul tether, right? So you'll be locked to that little spot for only a short amount of time. So I think that's balanced. Then we have Typhoon, which is similar to Tempest, but again, water-based. I don't know if I'm meaning to spawn this in water. I think this was meant for a aquatic-ish boss, but similar to Tempest, it would do damage, and this one slows and weakens you, yeah. So damage and slowness weaken, whereas the other one is sometimes levitation, which is where we got the big knockback from it. Soul Tether, Typhoon. Alright, Soul Summon. Again, nice and simple. It'll spawn a little particle on the ground, which will eventually summon a mob. In this case, a Wither Skeleton. Right, so that one's pretty self-explanatory. Then we have Snowfall. Now this one, for one, I need to set it a lot higher. Well, actually, no, I don't. From where the marker spawns, it itself goes up, but this one is a little bit annoying. So this is for a winter season. And basically, summons that and they start raining snowballs. Although, interestingly, their motion is messed up. And they are also not leaving any snow particles. Okay, so this is the first sort of error. But it grows and grows and grows, right? And more snowballs rain down. But it should be creating snow blocks. And it should also be shooting them out a bit more sporadically. So this I do need to look into, so give me a sec. Okay, hopefully that's a little bit better. So what we should see is snowballs spread out a little bit more than they were. And I might have to tweak the numbers for that, but no, they're flying a bit better. But they are unfortunately still not detecting the collision. Oh, we got hit by one, so we got mining fatigue and slowness, which is good. So did the skeleton, which is fine, and the cow. So they do damage on impact, right? Because it's meant to be like a bad blizzard, so to speak. But it should also be causing snow to build up, which it was before, and we've seen a few different videos where it actually does work for this one. Oh, it actually KO'd the Wither Skeleton. That's also a bad sign, because that is probably a little bit too much damage. So for this one, we might as well look at it, right? So we have two things. We have Snowfall, the interaction, right, is what we're naming them. It's not actually interaction, I probably shouldn't say that. It's a marker that acts as an environmental interaction. And then we have the actual projectiles that it's spawning. And as you can see here, we've got if block, run set block, and then also unless block is non-solid, unless block is already snow, it should set snow. So let's just take this segment, right? And what it should do is try it. Test failed. Is that correct? Unless block is non-solid, yeah, that's fine. Basically, when it collides with the ground or with a block, it should create a snow layer, but I've screwed it up. I think I used to set this as -1? Yeah, okay. So that's the issue. I changed the value because it's detecting the space underneath itself, right? So -1 and -1. And hopefully that is correct, and then the if block is when it collides with snow or powdered snow, right? But I do also need to decrease the damage, because that well, it's doing damage through a status effect more so than anything. We'll reload the world and see if it does now build snow. It should. This one? Nope. This one? Yeah. We're almost halfway. It's going to be a long one. So I have a ton to go through. Alright. We might do all the seasonal ones and then wait. Ah, perfect. Okay, so now it is creating snow, which is good. So, yeah. Does what a snowstorm should really do. So every time it collides with an actual snow layer, it will increase the amount of snow stacked on there. And if it gets to a full block, it will turn into powdered snow. So, yeah, it's quite nice. Right? Horrible to clean up. We'll leave it at that. So after snowfall, we have poison moor, which I kind of want this space cleared. Ugh. We're in a biome... Wait, does snow melt? I feel like snow does melt, but blizzard's over, so it's fine. Was this the one we're up to? No, this was... Yeah, this one. Alright. So poison moor spawns a little black cloud, and then should chomp. And I do also have to go back to survival for this one. Yeah, because this little chomp should also inflict poison. We'll see if it does. You saw the little particles come off the mouth, right? Yeah, so it does. So it does jump damage, and it is kind of severe poison as well. So, time to drink up. I should have a bottle of milk, I think, instead. I need a few more potions. I should probably give myself more. Next time we go into creative. Luckily, poison, doesn't KO. But we'll have to eat as well. And then the next one, I think we saw was molten gold, which was this one, hopefully. Yeah, so it's similar to eruption, but it is for the nether. And this is not the correct one. I think this is just damage then. Well, we gotta be a guinea pig. Yeah, not severe damage, but I believe it should maybe be spawning gold, which it's not. We'll leave that one be for now. Okay, so next up we have another... I don't think I've been announcing this correctly. I mean, up until now you should be able to guess, right, which season they belong to. So the eruption is obviously Scorch. Bubble, again, was just Dolphin. The two Dusty / Cyclone one were the Ash season. Then anything Snow is Frosted. Anything, Earthy, even the Poison Moor, kind of, is for life. And then the Nether one, right, even though it's gold, is still fiery, so it's the Scorch season. And then we're up to Warp Point, which is part of the Ender season. So these are nice, right? They just teleport you from one to the other, as long as you're stuck on them. So they will always spawn in pairs. And yeah, they just allow you to get from one point to the other. So imagine in a proper biome where this is spawning sporadically, not in a controlled position. Well, you walk into one and you don't really know where you're going to end up. After that, what do we have? We have... Wait for something to spawn, or maybe it's actually broken. It's another snowy one. This time it's Ender Snow. And yeah, they do exactly what you might think Ender Pearls do, which is if they hit you, they teleport you. So they don't summon snow or anything like that. They just teleport you. So another kind of crazy sporadic one. I think this is the next one. Oh, that is in the wrong position. That is half a block too high, half a block too high. So I've had difficulty with this. We're going to go back into creative for it. But this takes a little while to grow. So it's another Ender Season 1, Ender Bloom. It's a little flower that grows, and once it's fully formed like that, you can walk over it. Nope, that's not the fully formed. It's got one more stage. Try again. We might as well clean up our inventory, get a few more potions while we wait. It might take a little bit for it to actually grow because it's a bit sporadic. Oh, that sounds like it is. Okay, there we go. When it has the actual buds, right? You walk on it, you get speed, haste, and strength. So it's a nice little buff if you wait for it to grow. But, yeah. Okay, so if we summon the marker on ourselves, this is where it becomes super annoying because they've changed the general base position of a player. See, if I summon it on myself, look at that. So they have, at some point, changed it where if you're an entity, your feet position is half a block down. And it goes the same for entities too. So the command block, which I guess is summoning, I don't know if it aligns itself perfectly, is half a block up, which is very, very annoying because it wasn't always like this. Everything was uniform. So I've had to go through and I've had to mess with factors. But I use entities to spawn these for the season. So during a season, it randomly picks an entity and then spawns it at their location. So I have had to adjust where they're spawning. And for some things, it might get a little wonky, right? Because they're not positioned correctly. And that's very, very annoying. But that's End Bloom. So then we have Plant Bloom, which is a light version again. So it's spawning half a block up. But if we do it on ourselves, so instead of End Bloom, if we say Plant, it will spawn in the correct position. Yeah, very, very annoying. Right? I don't know why they changed the alignment, but oh well. So again, all the plant ones, you got to wait for them to sort of grow. And then eventually you'll be able to collect them. You don't get any items or anything, you just get straight buffs, right? So, if you're in this season, you see one, you can come back in a little bit when it's grown, or you can wait around, and then you can get, decent buffs, especially early game. So this one is just a whole lot of regeneration. After Plant Bloom, we have Plant Stun, a little bit different on this one. So it will grow and grow and grow until it eventually explodes, which I should probably go back to Survival, but we'll watch it first. And now, yeah, kaboom. Right, so if we go into Survival, let's see what it does, because it eludes me sometimes. Come on, I think it's knockback and damage, maybe? We'll see. It is weakness and slowness. I think I should make it give knockback as well, right? That's fairly easy. You do TP, the up sign, right? And I forget which one is. I don't think it's that one. No, that's down. One of these is backwards, right? And that's all you have to do. That one's kind of to the left. Is this one to the back? No, that one's up. Okay, so it's this one, but it's the way you're looking, right? So if I go -3, yeah. Weird, but I'll figure it out, right? And I'll probably add knockback to it. Creative again. This is Petal Storm, another plant-based one, right? So again, gotta wait for it to grow. We'd probably do these in succession. Plant Warmth and Plant Oasis. So we have an Oasis one, which gives us Absorption, Resistance, and then we have this one, if you're nearby, gives you Haste and Strength, right? So the idea is just walk into it, get your buffs, and then you're good to go. This one is giving Regeneration and Luck, which is very beneficial. This is... Why is this going weird? So it spawned these correctly, weirdly. But for this one, it went up a block, interestingly, which shouldn't exist. Same with here, and there's correct. Alright, so I need to look into those three and their detection. Alright, Twisted Energy. Spawn it in. And this one is a kind of fun one. So, little area opens up, collects energy, and then fires out a bunch of ender pearls that give you a ton of stats. They do damage though, don't want to undersell that. But then they also make you start shooting ender pearls. I think if you get hit, yeah. So if you get hit, it will spawn another one, right? So you can create this huge chain reaction, right, of giving stats and also doing damage. So it's just an all-around chaotic frenzy, which is sort of the theme of Ender that I'm trying to go for. Frostfire is a kind of cool one as well. So it spawns in a little fire, and if you're in the center of them, you'll gain debuffs, but if you stay long enough, you will gain buffs. So slowly it will tick around and basically spawn a circle of this Soulfire. It's to go with this season. Where is it? Frost, this one. Frigid Blaze, right? So it's like the bridge between Frost and Fire. I don't know. It was for the, like, Soul Caverns in the Nether, since they're, like, cool, but, still in the Nether. Anyway, hopefully it's interesting enough. But yeah, so if you wait in the ring, you get a bunch of debuffs, but then eventually you gain a bunch of good buffs and a little casing of ice, right? Just kind of protective, I guess. But yeah, I think it's worth it. And you can also, not bother staying in the middle. You can come back once it's almost done. Ender Spell. This one, nice and simple, creates a little nether portal, right? Or end portal in this case, that spawns endermites. So yeah, it's just going to spawn them sporadically, although apparently not that many. It's RNG based, so sometimes you might get a lot, sometimes you'll only get a few, and eventually it will collapse and go away. That's fine. Then we have Gold Rush. Actually, this might be the one I'm thinking of, where this spawns a bunch of... No, this is different. Yeah, this spawns a bunch of gold ingots, and the idea is, again, it's meant to be in the nether, so it will send piglins into a frenzy, which is good. Then we have Smog. Spawns in this little cloud, which is too high again, but that's fine. And this will slowly spread around, and if you're in it, debuffs, like usual, right? Because it's suffocating. I think that was kind of cool. So it'll just slowly grow and move and dissipate over time. Then we have Bog. We are. Okay, alright. That concludes the seasonal effects. Everything else is interactions used for some other purposes. So I think we'll split this in half, right? And we'll cut it out. I will, though, go into survival. And, yeah. Well, actually, the Endermite's doing most of the damage, but the slowness and weakness definitely doesn't help. And I think it does hunger as well. It's another sort of Ash theme. I'm going to die to the goddamn Endermites. So if I had to sum up the seasons, right, Scorch is just straight damage. Frost is slowness, mining fatigue. The Ash would be damage and hunger, right? Life could be beneficial or poisonous. And then Ender is basically a whole bunch of buffs that come at, well, a price. Oh, the smog is still going. That's good. Also, don't worry about the chat. We'll get to that at a later point. But yeah, so damage and a whole bunch of hunger is the main thing it's doing. All right, so we'll leave that there. I will tweak them a little bit, but we will show off the rest of these. Oh, that's not good. It did not clear the display. It's gone because we can't see the particles, so the mark is gone. But when it cleans itself up, it should also get rid of the display. So nice and quickly, how are we doing this? Well, it's fairly simple. I have a controller function, which is just checking a scoreboard and then checking which tags the seasons have. So they have to, the marker itself has to have this season tag for it to be an interaction. I should really change this to interaction or something, right? Because again, these aren't seasonal, but they use the same system. In which case, it will start a counter called erupt. And then depending on when that counter gets to X value, it will do different things. So for instance, when it spawns in, I give it a random value between 1 and 20, just to create some variation if multiple spawn. And then for this one, the snowfall, it will spawn the particles in the sky, right? So 11 blocks up, 11 half, 12. And from there, it will start spawning snowballs, again, depending on the value of erupt. So no matter what the marker is, again, all I do is tag it with season and a specific type, right? And then depending on that, we control what it actually does. So for instance, the creeping, oh, it spawned up here. That's interesting. Spawned underground, but this is not underground. Curious. Don't worry what this is. We'll get to that later. All right, so for creeping vines, it spawns in a display, and then that display spawns in more displays, obviously. And they each have their own erupt counter, and it seems to be very horribly misaligned. That's very weird. Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. Again, alignment as a whole seems to be a bit wonky with Minecraft now. This is a giant cluster as well. It shouldn't overlap at any point, but it is. Anyway, it'll still decay like usual. So this one is probably the most complex one. So why don't we just take a quick peek at it. So creeping vines, right? So again, we have this initial grow stage where I'm making sure it doesn't have the tag. So this is the setup phase, if you will, where it summons in the first item display. I'm just retexturing a bell, and then it will give off particles, it will play its sound, and then it will modify itself, because I need to make it bigger than a block, right? So it actually, overshadows a block, and you can see it through walls, and then it will also randomly assign a value for erupt, right, to increase it. And the reason for that is so it skips certain stages and creates, again, variation in which direction it grows in, how long it stays around for, when it decays. But, okay, so if a entity is within it, it will do 1 damage, it will give them poison, which actually I think overshadows the damage anyway, and then a chance to give it nausea as well, so RNG value, right? Then here we have it attempting to create more vines, right? So if the RNG values between this value, this value, this value, right, that basically dictates where it spawns the next one, so each of these will be to the left, to the right, to up, to down, and so forth and so on. So again, check the erupt. So once the erupt hits 100, it has a chance to grow in one direction. When it hits 200, it has another chance. 300, same thing. 400, and so on, right? And then once it gets to its decayed version, it becomes old. We're just assigning it a new tag. And from there, we're using erupt old, which is another counter, to then make it actually decay the rest of them, right? So when one reaches the old stage, it will then forcefully decay everyone around it. And that way, it doesn't just grow endlessly. Again, very complex, right? I can do a proper video on this if you're interested, but for now, those are all the interactions that can spawn seasonally. Again, depending on what season the game cycle is in and what biome you're in. So in terms of how it works, right, I have them turned off for now, but if you're in the overworld, right, it'll pick whether or not you're underground or above ground. So for instance, we have Blooming Life and Noxious Thorns. So Noxious Thorns happens underground, but Blooming Life happens above ground. Same with Petal Breeze, right? So underground, above ground, so forth. So yeah, depending where you are, what biome and what time, you'll get a different specific effect. So altogether, there are 20 different ones, and therefore 20 different seasonal effects, right? So bubbles not counted. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 3 of them are for something else, apparently. I can't remember which ones. Feels like they're all the seasonal effects, though, right? I know bog is for the bogged, but Yeah. Anyway, we will leave it there for today. Seasons. It's very fun porting over. Anyway, hope you enjoyed. See ya.